Good evening. It's great to be here. When Dirk called and talked about what a great organization you guys have, it was just an easy for me to say, heck yeah, man, you think I get to go somewhere and outside of the continental United States, put on my baseball pants, represent this great university they talked about, Vanderbilt University? I was like, I'm in. So anytime I get a chance to come to things like this, standing humbly in front of you guys, talk some baseball, act a little crazy, be real, all those things that I can't do when I'm at home, I always take the opportunity. So here's what I'm hoping for this, is that you can just take a few things. I know I'm speaking 3 times. I know most of us are. If you could just come to these things and just grab a little bit off the menu, a little bit here, a little bit there, reiterate something that maybe you're already doing that you agree with, yell at me in the hallway afterwards, tell me how crazy and stupid I am, that's fine too. Because all this is just about us putting something together that we think is successful so that our teams can be the best possible team that they can be. And fortunately, at Vanderbilt University last year, we were able to do that and be at the top of the NC2A Division I deal there in Omaha. So hopefully you guys were able to see that. And today I'm going to talk about some of those things that I think made us successful. Offensive strategies. I don't know if any of you guys felt it, my big body, whatever, getting up. Derek was talking. Some of you, and especially him, I told him when I come up here, I said, hey, man, I wasn't going to the bathroom on you when you were talking with about 10 minutes to go. About 30 minutes into his speech, I started vomiting in my mouth because I started thinking, that pitching guru, you know what I mean? I got to go use the restroom and throw up, because how are we ever going to get any hits with guys out there like that doing their pullback in and out, faster up here and in here, changing speeds, good grip, teaching them all those things like that. I'm like, we might not ever get a hit again for the rest of our lives. So you're supposed to laugh at that. I'm going to talk about a little something to counterbalance his deal, my third talk, and that's just kind of hitting ain't perfect, creating some margin for error in our swing, and trying to guesstimate with those pitchers so that we have a chance. My deal right here is I want to talk about offensive strategies. Excuse me when I take these off too. First time, I'm 44 years old, I've had to invest in a pair of these because I can't see anymore. So if I put these on, just bear with me a little bit. When I talk about offensive strategies, I'm not going to really talk about the art of the swing yet. We'll get into that in drills in my third talk, obviously. But I want to kind of take you around the horn, so to speak. When we talk about offensive strategies, I really want to talk about creating runs. I want to say, how can we, within the parameters of the game, how can we generate runs? Offensive strategies to that. Because like Derek was saying, hitting is hard. Hitting is hard. It's a round ball with a round bat hitting into a fair territory with a bunch of good players out there with leather on. And not to mention the guy standing behind the catcher. Hopefully there's none in here, but he makes it hard too, that umpire. You know what I mean? Or he can. Okay, so all of a sudden, it's just hard. And so we've got to try to do some things to counterbalance. And so I'm going to try to take you around the horn. I'm going to start you at home, and I'm going to get you to first. And how can we find first, and then how can we create second and make third happen? And then let's go ahead and deliver this guy home and talk about some ways that we can get you there, all right? But in order to find first, starting at home, we've got to do that counterbalance like DJ was talking about, and we've got to take a guy that's standing 60 feet, 6 inches away on an elevated surface, and he's working really good with his catcher, the pitching coach combination. He knows how he wants to throw it, all those grips you saw. And he wants to throw it in, he wants to throw it away, up, down, spin, slide, change, split, screw-G, knuckleball, whatever it might be. So as a hitter, I've got to do a good job of trying to get in control of the batter's box. And so I'm trying to take his advantage and get a little bit it into mine. Okay, and in order to be able to do that, we just simply talking to our guys all the time about just pace, pitch recognition. See it early, see it long. Let's make good decisions about what we are and we aren't swinging at. Because we're talking about finding first, we're just ultimately talking about a way to get on base or on base percentage. Okay, that doesn't mean we're just looking to just touch first and stop. But in order to get to second, we got to touch first. Okay, so the pace and the control of the batter's box is just absolutely huge. And in order for us to do that, we've got to have a little bit of rhythm. We've got to have a little bit of early ground that we call it, which is just ground forces. So I want to make sure that I'm in the ground, my body's getting in a good position to hit, my hands are moving, and I'm just trying to see the ball as close out of his hand or as far away from me as possible so that I can make good decisions about what I am and really, most importantly, what I am not swinging at, so to speak. So being in control, that's really, really important. Have a plan, I like to say. You know, as a hitter, you're not just up there flipping coins. You're up there to have a plan, and we talk about a vague, positive, and aggressive plan. And again, DJ referred to kind of the wide ranges of maybe ages that we're talking about coaching here. But I try to tell my guys in college, and I hope it helps them going forward professionally, is that just the days of just sitting off the fastball and trying to adjust and react, they're gone. Because the quality of the pitch and the pitchers and their stuff is too good, so we got to have a plan. Now, that could be sitting on a 1-1 slider. That could be sitting on an 0-0 slider with an open base and a guy in scoring position, all these different types of things. But we just simply want our guys to have a vague, positive, aggressive plan so when they get up there, it's really clear about what they're doing. It's not a cloudy, flipping coins, trying to hit 3 or 4 of those different pitches that the guy was throwing all in one swing stride. Okay, so just having a really, really good plan about what our attack is, vague, positive, and aggressive. Get a good pitch to hit. That's part of the whole thing about seeing it early, seeing it long. I tell my guys half the time, quit your complaining, your bad body language, you're failing, all that kind of stuff like that, because half the time it's not the problem of the swing, it's the pitch at which you're swinging at. And that just tells me that they're out of control. They're not in control. Again, we're trying to get that control in the batter's box. You're only as good as the pitch you're swinging at. Get a good pitch to hit. That happens because of your pace, your plan, and all those things at the plate. I referred to this earlier, strike zone management. You know, everybody in the world talks about just taking swings and rounds and all that stuff like that. We go way past that at Vanderbilt. Sometimes we do rounds of pitches, not just swings. I'm always praising the guys for taking the balls and swinging at the strikes. I'm not always so worried about the volume of swings. A lot of times I'm worried about the volume of the strike zone command. So I'll go 5 pitches sometimes, and then all of a sudden if they take 5 balls that bounce down and away and they walk out of the cage, I give them the old proverbial pat on the ass and let them know that that's good because those are leverage. Those are leverages. We're count leveraging. We're winning. We're always ahead. We're working to get that fight back and forth and just being in command of the strike zone. Okay? Now here's the strike zone. You guys know what the strike zone is, right? It's the knees to the armpits and this and that and the other and the width of the plate, 17 inches wide. That's the book. That's the book. But then there's that, and then there's the umpire's strike zone. Nothing more frustrating, coaches, to have my hitters, our hitters, come back to the dugout and be like, that's not a strike, that's not a strike, that's not a strike, that's not a strike. Yeah, it is. I've been here all day long. He keeps calling that same pitch a strike all day. We can't just be complaining about it, saying, what are we going to do about it? We got to make some kind of physical adjustment. If we stand there and continue to complain about it, we're just going to get rung up all day. We're going to be hitting in bad counts. So again, just knowing the strike zone, huge. Not only yours, but the umpires. Here's one for you, another good way to touch first base. Have some courage. Courage to get hit by the pitch. I think especially if you're working with some young kids, they got to get to understand that there's some uncomfortable feelings about a leather ball hitting you, especially when they throw it really hard. But until they understand that feeling and its worth, its toughness, its quality at batness, if that's a word, all those types of things that allow me to find first base, then they're just going to be jumping out of the way. They're scared and all those types of things. It doesn't lead to it. I'm a big believer in the hit by pitch. They keep trying to take it out. They're taking out the collisions at the plate in college baseball. They're trying to take away the hit by pitch and all stuff like that because everybody's wearing the Evo shield and all this kind of stuff. But whatever. Now all of a sudden it's like, if we don't jump out of the way, they're not giving it to us like that. But we're going to get in there and we're going to hold our ground. And unless it's going to hit me in the head, everything else is in play. Stand in there and get to first. It only hurts for just a little bit. show a little toughness, get your fanny down to first base. Let's get that on-base percentage up, and now we can actually get a chance to do what we're trying to do, and that's create second. Okay, so that's a way. So my guys love it when I feel like there's some skating going on at the plate. They come in there, and I get the managers. I call them early, and I say, fellas, here's the deal today. Don't tell anybody. 5 cages we have. We're very fortunate. I said, I want you to take those Incrediballs. They're not soft, but they're softer than the ones we use. And I say, I want you like a bingo hopper, and I want you to drop a dozen of those puppies in each one of those baskets. And the kids are going in there hitting. They have no idea what's coming. I tell the coaches that are throwing, I said, hey, every time you reach in there and grab that round ball, it's a little bit different than the one we play with. Hit them with it. And the coaches all smile like that, too. They laugh. They go, yeah, I've been wanting to get Johnny for a while. That guy's been talking smack. I'm going to get his ass. And I say, see how good you are. Be careful. Don't let anybody dance. These guys stand in there, and they're just hitting, and all of a sudden, that little softball, boom. And then, good job. We stay in there, but we actually train it, okay? We train it. We use the word training because we're always constantly trying to train so that we can do what's right in the game at that pace, okay? So the courage to get hit by a pitch, I'm not up here, that's not the sermon of the deal, but it is a way to find first base. And then lastly, just so we can move on, is just developing a really good two-strike plan. Two-strike plan is to me, when I see teams that are really good with 2 strikes, I freak out because I'm just like, God, these guys are tough. It doesn't matter how they get there, but they spoil pitches. They're running our pitch counts up. They're over everything. They're not out front. They don't chase. They spoil. They expand. They do this. They do that. It just becomes really, really tough. So make sure that in your guys' teaching of hitting, you have a really, really good 2-strike approach. Because really, inevitably, what you want to try to do is come up with something that says, I'm going to raise the probability of contact. That's what I'm going to do. And so if you got something that works, and we can talk about it, do it and practice it a lot or train it a lot so that your guys can become comfortable being uncomfortable, as we all have heard before. The ability of, we all know how it feels like when you get to 2 strikes, right? It sucks. So let's make sure we put those guys in that environment so that they're trained and they understand there's a certain plan. We have a thing, too, that I pride our hitting on, and that's our walks and our hit by pitches. We're trying to surpass or be above our strikeouts. Hard to do. 2013, we had one of the best teams in the country, and for a complete season now, put this in the realms of controlling the strike zone and finding first and getting on base percentage up there high. We were like +6. It was 4 or 6 on our walks, hit by pitches, and our over strikeouts. It's really hard to do, but it just shows you a team that's in control, winning count leverages, putting the ball in play with 2 strikes, all those types of things. Okay? So just get that batter's box, get some control of it, and get your tail feather down to first base. Now, once we find first, let's talk about creating second. And certainly there's a bunch of different ways, but I'm going to start, and that's with the stolen base. The stolen base now, I don't know what it was, but we were in the top 3, 4 in the nation last year in stolen bases. We have a theory, and I think you guys should think about this too. We have what we call a pedal down mentality. And that's a green, it's pedal down, it's emergency brake off, whatever you want to say. We're rolling downhill at all times, unless we're not, which means situation doesn't call for it. Left-hander's up, I want to use the jank hole. We're losing in a certain situation late in the game where I can't maybe take a chance. But what I want to tell you about the stolen base is simply not always the stolen base itself, but the threat of the stolen base becomes a monster for DJ and his pitchers, if you understand me. Just the thought of this guy's stealing, their scouting report, everything they're doing is they just run all the time. It does what I say, divides the attention of the pitcher. It splits his brain, boom, right in half. And so now all of his attention, because I've done a good job of finding first, all of his attention has now got the split between me as a base runner and my offensive philosophy and the hitter. As a hitter now, that helps us. And as a base runner, it helps us because we're going to divide his attention. We don't have a steal sign, so to speak. Our steal sign is right here. You, right there. Go, go. That's us in the dugout like this. Go, go, go. All we ask our guys to do is just understand who they are and what the pitcher's trying to do. DJ talked about changing rhythm. You get guys that are higher leg kicks, you get your mid-highs, you get your slides. Our guys need to understand who those guys are and what they're trying to do. And then all we're trying to do is just, from a base running standpoint, is as soon as he lifts up, all we're trying to do is just get a good break, and I want to try to get my second foot down on the ground before his plant foot hits. If I can get that, that's what I'm calling a great jump. If I can get it, I just roll. It doesn't matter. He might slide, he might mid, he might high. I'm just trying to get that second foot down before his foot hits the ground, so to speak. If I get it, we roll. If I don't, I do what we would say, shut it down. Because they don't have to go, but we just want them to get a good jump. So here's the whole cool thing about it. We relinquish them some freedom and some, I want to. You mean I can get thrown out and someone's going to do what Coach Jewett, come back in the dugout, I tell him, you want the French kiss or the bear hug, from me. They mostly want the bear hug, no doubt, but go, 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 go. Here's the beautiful thing. So we're splitting the pitcher's attention. We're going, Vanderbilt's running. We're trying to create second now. And so we get here like this, and all of a sudden I don't get the jump. It turns into a fake break. It turns into a fake break. Some people have steal, fake break, must, all that kind of stuff. But when we don't hit it, all those start and stops turn into fake breaks. Then we get people yelling, runner, exactly. And hopefully their first baseman's doing it because I've never understood that. But a lot of teams still do that. Their first baseman, he yells, runner, and he's doing this. I mean, how can he really tell? And then all of a sudden, no, he's not. Then the catcher comes out of the stance. Everything gets crazy, and all of a sudden, there's back to that count leverage we talked about in finding first. Ball one, splitting his brain. And then as the hitters like it a lot because our guys are moving, well, what's the best pitch for a catcher to grab to throw a guy out? That fastball. And then all of a sudden, this stuff slowed down. So those are easier bases to steal. It's pretty obvious. Then these start coming in, and our hitters start getting fastballs. And now it's, we're going. Oh, we're not because I didn't get the jump. We're creating more fastballs because we're splitting the attention. We want to get a chance to throw them out. Now my hitter gets a chance to hit things that are straighter. Now the steal actually turns into like a run and hit almost philosophy without even calling anything. I haven't even put a sign on. But we're just talking about being aggressive. So you're talking about all those types of things. Get your guys to understand the threat of the steal sometimes is even more valuable than the steal itself. We do some things that I've learned at conventions like this, and we train. And so we'll steal bases during scrimmages, okay? And the pitchers love this. Speaking of pitcher, hitter, jabs that we're going to probably do up here all weekend with each other, is if the guy steals this base in the scrimmage, okay, or a training session we're doing, if he's safe, we say, good job, man, stay there. If he's out, guess what? We just put him back at first and say, go try it again. And so the pitchers get all upset and all stuff like that. But it's just, all we're trying to do is just create that training environment that just says, go, 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 go. Now make sure you have a red light, too, so you can shut them down like in a game like, not right here, okay? Here's another one that I really like. That's called the BIDs, balls in the dirt. And just like a two-strike team, a team that's got courage to stand in there and get hit by pitches, teams that have threat to run, all those types of things, you add in this ball in the dirt, and it's nasty. But a team that has the ability to read the ball in the dirt, you change the complexion of innings. Because simply what you're doing is you're moving up 90 feet. We're always looking for 90, 180, 270, but we're trying to find ways to move up bases. And when we get good at balls in the dirt, you wreck the opposing team. You change complexions of innings, and certainly which will thusly change complexions of games, or we hope so. We stay out of double plays, all those types of things. You know, teams that turn double plays, that changes the complexion of an inning in a game, does it not? We've all stayed up here and watched it. Ham and eggs, 4, 6, 3, double play. It's like, oh. Okay, but we're trying through our aggressiveness, whether it's out of the box, trying to turn 1 into 2, the threat of the stolen base, the dirt ball, we're trying to get those extra bases, so we limit those opportunities to the defense to turn those double plays on us. Okay, so balls in the dirt. Again, pedal down. We create a color system. You guys can do whatever you want, but we have a green, a yellow, and a red. And it's always green until it's something different. Green is simply this, and I don't want to point this out, and I hope this helps you. Rhythm of your secondary, okay? We've gone into a different art where as soon as the pitcher lifts his leg, I'm not secondarying, okay? Because what happens then, depending on the height of the leg, the slowness of the delivery, all that kind of stuff like that, this guy can get out here too far maybe. That was a hell of a shuffle right there. Get out here too far, and now all of a sudden he can find himself stopped, and then certainly subject to maybe being too far off the base, okay? So what we've done is we've tried to tighten it all up and create some really good rhythm for our guys to feel like their body's in motion. And when your body's in motion, you're faster. And we'll talk a lot about it with hitting as we get going forward. But just we want to try to stay in motion. So what we're going to do, and this helps guard against the pickoff too, is simply when he lifts his leg, I'm not moving. And once his foot hits the ground, his front foot hits the ground, then I start my secondary. And what it does is it keeps my body in rhythm. And that rhythm allows me to feel movement and freedom. Then that turns into aggressiveness and all kinds of stuff like that. And we're looking for the trajectory of the ball to read that on that timing. And if we even think it's going to hit the ground, boom, we're gone. If they get a pick and a throw out, a pick, an exchange, a cover, an accurate throw down to second base, and a out, they come back in the dugout, I'm going like this. Good job. As long as their body stays in rhythm and not get out there, stop. Oh, Coach Jewett said ball in the dirt, green, now I go. No, we just shut it down. But if they keep the rhythm, I praise them. So that's another thing. Create systems of what I call checks and balances within your offense, your base running, all those types of things so that when your kids do fail, they almost get praise for it because you've got a system that says, this is what we're going to do. And we know at times things aren't always going to go our way, but you create a system of checks and balances so that they know. So we've got a green, we've got a yellow. And a yellow just basically different from green. It's just like a stoplight. It's a little bit caution. Here comes the yellow light. You better get through this intersection or you better put on the brakes. But at the end of our yellow call, if we have that on, that means if you advance the next base, you're going to be there safely. The whole thing is safely. So basically, it's more of a kick read than it is a down angle read, okay? So make sure. Some guys can get a little bit, don't have to have the ball go as far away from the catcher as others in terms of their athletic ability and their speed. Guys like me can kick right there. I'm taking bags. I'm just kidding. And red is simply this, okay? Red is simply this. I'm kicking your tail. You're kicking my tail. I'm not just going to go. I can't take a chance right now, okay? If it goes by the catcher, wide right or left or all the way to the backstop, no matter the score, move up, okay? I would rather have somebody do that than still stand like at second base or third or first and just because the ball goes to the catcher and it's like because you beat me by 10, I'm still just standing at first going, just keep playing the game, okay? But that's our red, and those are kind of the difference. You guys don't have to use green, yellow, red. You can use thumb up, sideways, down. You can do whatever you want to do, but just try to create something there and create some aggressiveness for your guys. So, again, finding ways to get to second. Good? What else do we got? I'm doing all the talking. How else can I get to second? What else kind of steal? Huh? We got a heckler out there. How about a delay steal? Yeah, delay steal's great. You catch people napping. You catch catchers that go down to their knees, catch their coolio, pull the pin, lob it back to the pitcher. Here's the best one. When you see a middle infielder turn his back from the field of play. No. If you're an infield instructor in here, don't ever let your infielders turn their back to the field of play, ever. Ever, 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 with guys on base. Keep their peepers out in front. But it's lazy catchers, it's lazy middle infielders, guys that turn off the base, all those types of things. It's a nice way to throw an element of surprise. Now, this not really saying it, but I'm gonna right now, because defensively, you know how I guard against it? I yell it out loud all the time with a guy on first, especially with a left-handed hitter, because that's a good time because you're screening the catcher, all those types of things, is I'm yelling to my defense all the time, our defense. Heads up, no delay, no delay, heads up, no delay. And I'm yelling it out loud all the time. So the other coach is probably over there going, God dang it, they're all over it. And actually I'm not, I just say it so they think I am, and then hopefully that'll deter them from trying. Okay, but keep your eyes on the catcher, his laziness, the middle infielder turning their backs and all that stuff like that. Delay, steal, beautiful play, especially for some of your guys that aren't great runners. You can maybe lull some people into some sleepy time lumber, we like to say, and get those guys moving again. Another way to try to stay out of double play. Hit and run. Hit and run. I'll get into this later too, but there's two systems or two times in our offensive philosophy at Vanderbilt that I actually tell our guys, this is what pitch, this is what location, and this is how you're going to compete. 2 strikes and hit and run. Because to me, they're no different. They're the same exact thing. So what we're trying to do in those 2 situations is, I said it earlier, is I'm trying to heighten the probability of contact. That's what I'm trying to do, right? Because in a hit and run, we know we're not getting our best jump. We're getting a hit and run jump. I can't get picked here. Because why? Because I'm trusting the hitter that he's going to do his job. If we swing and miss there, we take it, and this catcher comes up and plays an accurate game of catch, we're out. We're out because we're not trying to get our best jump. But what I do want the hitter to do is to get down to his best fastball. I want to have some competitive depth. I'm not going to tell you guys what to do. You guys can have your own plan. And we're trying to smash this ball with some barrel control. If I just want to tappy-tap and do all this kind of stuff like that, I'd just bunt him over. Because if I call a hit and run, I actually, selfishly, I want to score. I want to score from this delayed jump at first base. I know you're thinking, well, how in the hell are you going to do that? Well, I might not. But from a hitting standpoint, I'm trying to smash this ball with some barrel control. And I know that as an offensive guy, with that kind of barrel control and all those types of things, I might actually hit a line drive on a hit and run. Don't get mad at your kids for hitting a line drive on a hit and run. It's baseball. Baseball sucks. Doesn't it? Coach Corbin said it best at the National Convention last year. Leadoff speaker, team that wins the national championship. And he just says, sometimes the game doesn't reward you on your own watch. It doesn't always reward us on our own watch. But if a kid swings at a pitch right here and he's really trying hard for you as a coach, you're saying, get on top of these balls. He does that, boom, backspins one and gets a line drive. Sucks. But we're trying to be aggressive with this hit and run. We're trying to be aggressive. I want first to third, first to third, first to third, first to home, whatever it might be. I don't want just first to second. If we get just first to second, we get just first to second. I don't just leave and go home. We keep playing, but I'm just saying that's the mentality that we want to have. A lot of people say, stay out of the middle of the field, all that kind of stuff like that. Certain philosophy, that's fine. Believe in what you do. Get your guys to believe in it. I think if you're just trying to stay out of the middle of the field, then I think you start steering. And when you start steering, you start slowing. And all the right-handers want to get inside there and manipulate the ball on the 4. And the lefties want to get everything in the middle, manipulate the 6, and all that kind of stuff like that. To me, that's steering. It's not aggressive. It actually has a tendency to loop and drag and never fire. And then I start getting missed. I start getting pop-ups, and those things aren't good on hit and run. So we're just trying to hit the ball hard on the ground with a mentality of getting from first to third. If we get more, we get more. Here's one for you, and I think my heckler said this. Sacrifice. Yeah, I say bunt. Always. Bunt. Always. Now, let me enunciate it different. Bunt always. You got to be kidding me. Dirt. I'll buy an extra 30. I won't put that Starbucks on the bill. How about that? Bunt all ways. Not always, because you're not always having to bunt, but bunt all ways. What does that mean? You got your sacrifice. You got to be able to do what we call a 4 bunt, and that's get my angle right over here. That's that ball I'm bunting towards the first baseman. And my 5 bunt goes towards the third baseman. And a 1 bunt is something simply that we do. It's like a ball that we're putting right out in front of us because DJ's pitchers, that nasty guy, he's got a 93 with heavy sink and a slider, and it's just tough to bunt. It really is. We just have a 1 bunt, and all we're trying to do is just get it out in front of the plate. Not too close to the catcher, but certainly not too hard to the pitcher, but just get it out there. The ability to show the sacrifice bunt late. The ability to bunt for a hit. We've got what we call a 30, a 40, and a 50. Just like I said, we have a 4 and a 5. We've got a 40 and a 50. The 4 and 5 are the sacks. The 40, 30, 40, 50 are bunt for base hits. So we understand the difference in the speeds and where those all go. 30 is right up on that first baseline. We're going to get the catcher and the pitcher and maybe the first baseman trying to converge. And when I say that 30 bunt and getting that convergence, I tell my guys we're talking about bunting in a school zone. We're bunting in a school zone. And when I say school zone, the speed limit there, that's that flashing yellow light, it's 15 miles an hour. You know what I mean? It's slower. It's just boom. Now that 40, we're trying to get by the pitcher, make the second baseman field it. That's why I say we're bunting on a highway. Now, I want 65 miles an hour, so to speak. I want that thing to get energized, get it by the pitcher. 50s, we're just trying to get it down, heaven or heck, we call it. Base hit or foul ball type of deal. Okay? So bunt all ways. I'm doing a terrible job of staying on time here. Let's go from first to second now. Second to third. Not a lot going on, but there are certain ways as an offense we talk about how are we going to GEO. I'm big on acronyms. I like it. The kids like it. GEO. You know what GEO stands for? It's an acronym for get them over. Get them over. So now I got a guy at second base. When would you GEO a guy at second base? Nobody out. You would never just get a guy over to third with 1 out. You want to be giving those outs out. But with nobody out, we're going to try to GEO. And so when we GEO, we get our kids to understand what the offense is trying to do versus the defense. So a lot of times when you're trying to get them over, you guys as coaches, you know what the hitter's trying to do, so you want to get him to right-handed hitter. You want to try to get him to pull the ball so that he can hit the ball to the left side so you can't have clearance and actually move up. Our whole theory about this GEO is no matter what, at the end of the play, we will minimally, another one of my, I think, made-up words, minimally be at third base. If we get the 180 third to home, we certainly take it. But at the end of this play, we're going to be standing on third base minimally. So as an offense, we have to try to create a hole or a pattern to what the pitcher's doing. So if I'm a right-hander and I think he's going to try to come in, all we do is get the sign. I know the GEO's on. I might just soft into the box. Instead of getting my normal, I might just like go soft, and all of a sudden I'm going to try to create a little tunnel in here so that I can actually manipulate that kind of inside-outish. Because at the end of this play, GEO, we're looking to hit a ball on the ground to the right side because that is 100%. We can always move up on that play. A line drive to the second baseman or first baseman in that situation, that don't work. That doesn't work. It has to be on the ground so we can move up. If we want to do that, great. Our lefties would just be the reverse. They would get all up on the plate, and they might have a slow shoulder but yet an early wrist break, so to speak, and they would take something on the outside part of the plate and hook snap it, right? Doesn't have to be our best swings, but they might hook something, snap here, right-hander, get inside, try to free up some space between his front hip and the block so that barrel can work in there and control his barrel on the ground, okay? So again, it's important for the hitters to understand what the pitcher's trying to do and my space relationship to the plate. Correct, Coach Moore? You don't like that as a pitching guy. Because if I'm doing that and winning those situations, then again, I can do what I want to do. As we're working our way around, I'm third base. My whole goal is I want to try to be standing on third base with less than 2 outs. If I can put one of my feet on third base with less than 2 outs over the course of a game, over the course of a series, over a course of a year, That's runs, baby. That's runs. And runs are really, really important because the more you have, the better chance you have to win the game. Okay? Now, on the alternative of that is I can get our guys to play a little cat and mouse. So now all of a sudden I get in there and I might tell a guy through our sign system that says, nah, we ain't trying to do this. Now they might think we're trying to do this. 7th inning, 2-2, leadoff guy double, whatever it might be. All of a sudden we think the pitching guy's thinking like, we're going to come in there, I need him to pull this ball on the ground. And then we'll free our guy up and give him the sign that just says like, go ahead, big dog, eat. And so now that same counterbalance that we have, maybe backing off, looking for something in to go this way, lefty's getting on, looking for something to hook. Now all of a sudden we'll take our hitters and we'll actually have them zone a ball middle in, fastball type, so they can get their head out and try to turn up the fan and wrap their you-know-what around the foul pole, right? And all of a sudden it's kind of that shocking. I'm like, gosh, I thought he was going to try to butt it over to second and just get him over. It's the 7th inning of a tie game, and all of a sudden we free up a guy, boom, smash. And if he doesn't get him over, then because of the call and all stuff like that, we don't freak out. It's just we decided to call it like that. We let him pull the ball. If we get it, we get it. If we don't, we don't. Okay? So get them to understand. While you're at second base now, make sure your guys are very clear about applying the rule at second base with nobody in one out and what they're doing in terms of balls in the air, balls you're tagging on, balls you're not tagging on. Trumping the system. Nobody out, it's always back on a line. Not freeze, it's back. And once you get going, 0 out, you're looking to tag because I just told you that we're trying to get to the forward base, the 94 feet, with less than 2 outs. So we're looking to tag. With 1 out, the rule completely trumps, and now instead of looking to go back to tag, I'm actually looking to run away from the ball. Unless the rule trumps it and it's far enough or deep enough, and the guy's a for sure catch, then I can trump my going away and I can go back and I can tag. I tell my guys, don't ever go back to second base and put your foot on the bake and act like you're tagging. You either are tagging or you're not. If you're not, just hang off. I'm talking about a single runner situation now. Multiple runner situation, it changes. Understand the rules. Nobody out, go back and tag. 1 out, run away from the ball. If the ball hits the ground with 1 out in the outfield, it touches grass, your ass scores. Grass, ass, scores. Or it is going to be, your ass is grass. I'm telling you, you guys could probably shake your head and agree with me. That play, 1 out, the base runner's ability to just apply the rule versus be a talent evaluator. The ball's driven into left center. They know it's starting to do this, but they're seeing the center fielder kind of start to close on it. He's starting to get closer, and then all of a sudden, they start getting back towards second. The guy dives. It pops out of his glove. It hits the ground, whatever it might be. And now all of a sudden, I can't score. And then they do this. They get to third base, and they're doing like this. Because they know if they look up, I'm freaked out in the dugout. So don't try to be a talent evaluator. Just apply the rule. Just apply the rule. Ball's hit. The further it's hit away, I'm just running away from the ball. That thing hits, I'm scoring. Okay? I'm having a blast, by the way. It's the fastest 40 minutes of my life. DJ went over, too. So I'm going over. Pitcher, hitter. Pitcher, hitter. Now you're on third, okay? 2 types of bunts that can get me in there. Safety squeeze, suicide squeeze. Careful with your suicide squeeze now. It's a good play, but it's a high-risk play. You got a guy at third base, less than 2 outs or whatever it is. A fungo here can get a guy in. If you have the squeeze, 5 minutes, thank you. Made up some time right there. If you have a squeeze, you might actually call it. You know what I mean? Ed Sheff, one of the best college baseball coaches ever, NAIA, Lewis and Clark State, Lewiston, Idaho. I went down there, and he said, Travis, if you have a suicide squeeze in, the problem is you might actually call it sometime. So suicide squeeze, it's a risky play. Stretch. Make sure you clear the pick. Take off. Wind up. Walk, 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 walk. That right, the plant foot hits the ground. Now we can go ahead and take off. Okay? Tough play. As a hitter, I like to say on the suicide squeeze, I'm just going to leave you with this. I'm not trying to coach your team. But I believe it's a late show, and it's quick. It's quick from the outside in. Here's how you see a screwed up squeeze. Shake your head if you agree with me. They go like this. They go like this. And all of a sudden, Coach Moore, you put it out there. You know what I mean? All of a sudden now it's like you see that from everybody. Instead of it should be quick from the outside in and defend back. It's quick out to in. Okay? So foot strike and clear and all stuff like that, quick from the outside in. Don't try to be too fine with this bunt. Just get it down fair. Just get it down fair. Okay? Safety squeeze. A little more conservative. More of a high-risk play, but yet a controlled bunt that will allow your runner from third to score. And I didn't go over this before, and I made mention to it. I told you guys a late 4 and a late 5. You heard that when I said bunt always. Not bunt always, but bunt always. I'm a firm believer in what we call a late 4, late 5, and a safety. Why? Because the timing of which I turn around to show bunt softens the defense. And when I can soften the defense, I can keep them further away from the dirt circle, or me as a hitter. Then I can cause longer distances for them to run. I can then speed up their heartbeats. And then I can increase angles of throws. That's when errors or mistakes happen. So instead of just every bunt situation, it's not always just turn around and just show everybody in the world like, I'm bunting. We will then now go here, rhythm as a hitter, instead of an early show on set. We will wait until this guy's arm is back. And once his arm is back, then we'll turn, preset our angle, and work our bunt, and then just watch everybody panic and run in. It's not a bunt for a base hit. It's still what we call a stationary bunt, just like your sacrifices are. Just the timing of which we show it becomes a little bit later. Harder to slash out of a late 4 and a late 5, but yet we're still doing it. It's creating that pressure and softening the defense. I didn't go over slash. Slash is great. Bunting is great. And I'll talk about this in hitting because I believe in bunting and slashing. The older I've gotten, the more mature I've gotten. Believe it or not. Bunting, getting my eyes down behind the bat. You know what I mean? That art of just getting down in there and bunting, I think it is a component of a good hitter. Slashing is the same thing. It's the ability to show the bunt and then have some rhythm back and forth, staying connected, getting the hands back and forth across my nose or the plane of my nose that we'll talk about this weekend. And the rhythm that it creates and the separation and the movement, it's a beautiful thing. We do it a lot, just even in our BP routines. I'll make them slash early, like, just give me 3 slashes. And an early thing here like this is now people are going to want to try to cheat on me early, right? And so we have a theory that says, don't ever bunt into a trap. So our guys have the freedom, and we train to make releases and reads and stuff like that. We'll have our guys that are playing defense during BP. If they see a guy coming at them, they have the art and the ability to never bunt into a trap. It's a beautiful play. You will see some of your best hits off of this slash because your kids are just rhythmic and they're smooth and slow and all that kind of stuff. Here's another thing. Sell the bunt, right? So now we sit here like this, and now all of a sudden you're playing third right there. I met you in the coffee line. You never heard of Vanderbilt before. You hurt my feelings. You get here like this, and all of a sudden you're playing third and you don't charge. Well, I better be in a good position to bunt because nobody's coming, so I got to sell the bunt first. Okay, nobody's coming. Bunt, count to 1, stationary, go do my job. If I get to first because they make a mistake, I get to first, but I'm not trying to be too fast. Okay? Last thing. Sure thing. I love this when I go to clinics. I hear the clinicians, what awesome guys they are. They say last thing 20 times. Finally, lastly, one more thing. You know what I mean? 20 minutes later, it's awesome because we get going. Last thing, runner on third base. Develop a contact system. Tell your guy what they're doing. You guys know who the great Ron Polk is? Mississippi State? If you don't, check him out, okay? He wrote the he had the baseball playbook a long time ago. Boy, I remember had one of those. You get that, Everett Gray? That book of his? Gosh, when I was a junior college coach, I had that thing. It's like a Bible. Anyways, great. And he told a story one time about contact plays at third. He walked up to the guy at third, and he just says, hey, look, 1 out. Corners are in. If the ball's hit hard at the third baseman, I want you to stay here. Unless it's dribbled a little bit to his forehand side, then you can make that read on your own. If you like it, go ahead and take it. If it's right to his backhand side, we're staying because, man, he'll come up, he'll throw you out at home. Shortstop's back, so if it's hit to him, we're good to go. Second baseman, watch him now. He's kind of rotating in and out. They're playing a little bit of a moving infield. If it's hit hard at him and he's kind of coming in on the pitcher's leg lift, we got to stay. But if he stays back, you can score. First baseman, I don't like anything to his glove side. So if it's there, you stay. If the other side, you can go. All right? Good job, buddy. 1 out. Here we go. The guy at third's like, cello. Okay, so what am I saying? Create a system with your guys that says this or that. We got 2. It's green or it's yellow. Green is I'm going on down contact, man. I'm taking a chance. I'm putting the pressure on the plate. I'm forcing the pressure on the plate. I like pressure on the plate from an offense. I want to force them to get their eyes up, field it clean, exchange it clean, throw a strike to the catcher, have him catch it clean, and tag. That's green. We're just taking gambles. If it's hit right back to the pitcher, I'm out. You know what I mean? But I'm still going. If he just comes home with it, I shoot myself, we call it, stay in a rundown, get the hitter to second. A yellow becomes more of you're just playing backyard baseball, I tell our guys. We're out in the yard, we're playing wiffle ball, and third baseman's in, and the ground ball's hit to him, I'm not going. If the middle's back, I'm going. If it's hit to a drawn-in first baseman, I'm not going. We just make reads about what we're doing. Whereas in a green contact, I might actually get doubled up by a line drive. A yellow contact, that can't happen. I can't get beat by a line drive, and I'm not going to the positions on the field that have our quote-unquote covered, okay? The last thing I want to tell you about a contact play at third base is what we call first and third. And we have a system that says green, going in, looking. I don't know if this is right, if it's wrong. I don't ever believe on standing on third base while I'm watching another team turn a double play, or what we call ham and eggs. I don't want that. So no matter what, when this ball's hit, if I'm in a first and third situation, I'm scoring. And all I'm doing, which I think is a beautiful thing, and I didn't really tell you guys earlier, and I should have, is that all great base runners, great base running teams, their first base and third base coach, they're there, but they're just pawns. They're not really there to be had. It's just baseball says you got to have 2 guys there. You run with your head up and your eyes on the ball, so you always know what the hell's going on. If you want to go, go. If you don't, don't. So we talk about green, going, and looking. So that first and third, it could be hit right at the third baseman. I'd be like, waving at him as I'm scoring. If he comes up and goes 543, I just keep scoring. If there's nobody out, there's 2 outs, I scored a run. If there's 1 out and they go and they turn double play, innings over anyways. But what I don't want to do is just be standing at third thinking like just because it's hit to the pitcher or the first baseman or the third baseman that I'm not going to score. So we have the ability to go green, going in, looking. Okay? I've gone over my time. Hey, great start to my first day ever in Toronto. I appreciate it. I look forward to shaking some of your guys' hands the best I can while I'm here this weekend and listening and talking more about baseball. All right? Thank you very much.